This is CNN Breaking News.
Jason Dalton, the Kalamazoo suspect who was charged with shooting and killing 6 people at random this past weekend, is now before a judge for an arraignment. Let's take a listen.
All right, court calls the case of State of Michigan versus Jason Brian Dalton, file number 160287FY. Are you Jason Brian Dalton?
Yes.
This matter is scheduled for an arraignment this afternoon. It is alleged by the people of the state of Michigan that on or about February 20, 2016, that the following 16 offenses occurred in count 1, which is alleged to have taken place February 20, 2016 in the township of Texas, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did murder Mary Lou Nye. Guilty of this offense, it is a felony punishable by a sentence to life in prison. Count 2 of the complaint. It's alleged that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit the felony of open murder. If guilty of this offense, it too is a felony, punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 3 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did murder Mary Jo Nye. Guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to life in prison. Count 4 alleges on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, that being open murder. If guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 5 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, the defendant did murder Barbara Hawthorne. Guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to life in prison. Count 6 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, Texas Township, that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit the felony of open murder. If guilty of this count, it's a felony, punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 7 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did murder Dorothy Brown. Guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to life in prison. Count 8 alleges at that same time, date, and place that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit the felony of open murder. If guilty of count 8, it's a felony, punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony. Count 9 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did murder Richard Smith. If guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to life in prison. Count 10 alleges at that same time, date, and place that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit the felony. If guilty of this offense, it's a felony, punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 11 alleges that on or about February 20, 2016, in the city of Kalamazoo, Kalamazoo County, state of Michigan, that the defendant did murder Tyler Smith. Guilty of this offense, it is a felony, punishable by up to life in prison. Count 12 alleges at that same time, date, and place the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit the felony of open murder. If guilty of this offense, it's punishable by up to 2 years in prison consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 13 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Texas Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, that the defendant did make an assault upon a minor child with intent to commit the crime of murder. Guilty of this offense is punishable by life or any number of years. Count 14 alleges at that same time, date, and place that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, a pistol, at which time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, that being assault with intent to murder. If guilty of this offense, it's a felony punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. Count 15 alleges that on February 20, 2016, in Richland Township, Kalamazoo County, State of Michigan, that the defendant made an assault upon Deanna Carruthers with the intent to commit the crime of murder. If guilty of this offense, it's punishable by up to life or any number of years. Count 16 alleges at that same time, date, and place that the defendant did carry or have in his possession a firearm, to wit, a pistol, at the time he committed or attempted to commit a felony, that being assault with intent to murder. If guilty of this count, it is a felony punishable by up to 2 years consecutively with and preceding any term of imprisonment imposed for the felony or attempted felony conviction. You understand the charges being made against you, and the maximum sentences that I just stated.
Yes, sir.
You have the right to the assistance of an attorney and the right to be represented by an attorney at all subsequent proceedings in this matter. If you're indigent or cannot afford an attorney, the court will appoint an attorney to represent you at public expense. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you do say, either orally or in writing, can be used against you in court. You have the right to have an attorney present during any questioning to which you consent. Do you intend to retain a private attorney, or do you want the court to appoint an attorney for you at this time? You have the right to have a probable cause conference within 7 to 14 days, and the right to have a preliminary examination 5 to 7 days thereafter. Those have been scheduled. The next court appearance will be a pre-exam conference scheduled for Thursday, March 3rd, 2016, 8:30 a.m. in courtroom N of the Michigan Avenue Courthouse. The preliminary exam itself is scheduled for March 10, 2016, 1:30 p.m. here in courtroom M of the Michigan Avenue Courthouse. With regard to bond, is there anything you wish to tell the court at this time concerning your connections with the community?
I would prefer just to remain silent.
Very good. The court exercises its discretion under MCR 6.106B1A1 to deny bail at this time as defendant is charged with murder. You will receive a copy of the notice to appear, and that concludes today's hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So there we heard it. That was Jason Dalton in his first court appearance since being charged with 6 murder charges, just gunning down 6 innocent people over the weekend in Kalamazoo, Michigan. The judge asked him, "Do you have anything you want to say about these allegations?" He said, "I prefer to remain silent." I want to bring in our Paul Callan, legal analyst, to talk a little bit more about this. He didn't say much here, Paul, which I guess is no surprise. But I can't stop thinking about the fact that he allegedly randomly killed these 6 people and then in between was picking up Uber customers. How will that hurt his case?
Well, it's truly bizarre conduct. Usually in a case like this, with serial killings taking place, there's a clear motive. You usually have a mentally disturbed person involved, or maybe there's a link between the victims. But in this case, it appears to be random killings by someone who apparently doesn't have a history of this kind of behavior. So it's really bizarre, and it suggests to me that you're going to see an insanity defense here because, and just looking at his reaction during the arraignment, also sort of that blank look on his face, and suggests to me that you'll see an insanity defense at some point down the line.
So because I was thinking about it when I was watching this, that it would be likely that would be his defense, but yet he was sane enough to be able to, look at his Uber app and take in customers. I mean, I would think that would hurt that defense in a sense.
You would think so, and you may be correct. Under Michigan law, to prove insanity, you have to prove that you have a mental disease or defect that so impairs your capacity to understand the difference between right and wrong that you should be found not guilty. And they also have a not guilty by reason of insanity plea that can be entered in Michigan. And by the way, there's no death penalty in Michigan. They eliminated it in the 1800s. So the maximum he's facing is life in prison if convicted of these charges.
Just chilling to see him in this video, so stoic. Paul Callan, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Thank you.